Welcome everyone to another episode of our Tennis Nerds IGTV series. Today we have a special guest joining us on Zoom all the way from northern Italy in Genoa, a great friend of mine, tour coach and heading Lubrano Tennis Academy, Federico Placidelli. Welcome.
Hi Shane.
It's great to have you on today. For our listeners, Federico and I have some history. I had the pleasure of working with him last year on the team of Thomas Fabbiano. And he was also gracious enough to take me and my wife around his beautiful hometown last November in Genoa. And we still remember the focaccia we had for lunch. It was incredible. And to think November wasn't that long ago. Since then, a lot's happened in the world. A lot's happened in Italy. First of all, I want to ask how you're doing and what each day is like for you in Italy.
Well, dear friends, at the beginning, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this chat. It's a very pleasure for me. The situation now is not the best. We have been locked in the house for a month now without going out. Now we just have to resist. We have to do it for our health. The days flow quickly, and every day I study with the online courses, try to cook Italian food. Carbonara is my best, and I finally managed the graduated to economics. At the end, I read again your data work.
That's very good to hear that you've managed to use your time incredibly well in isolation to accomplish so many things. And congratulations, firstly, on graduating in economics. That's a great achievement. And I think I'm going to make you cook that carbonara for me when I'm in Genoa next. Going back to last year with Thomas, I know sometimes it's not easy to talk about what the best match was or what your favorite match was, but I'm going to ask you, what was your favorite match that Thomas played last year?
So won important matches last year, and our team made the difference, I think. I think we start to work soon again with another player, Hope. The match that I would choose from last year, it will be obvious to say Tsitsipas or TM. But I would to remember that Thomas was the player that beat both of them, winner and the finalist, the runner-up at ATP finals. Not too bad, I think. But for sure, I will choose Dimitrov in Melbourne. And when Thomas understood his value, and Simon in Eastbourne.
Look, that's very interesting. You said the Grigor match, and I think it shows to me, and it shows hopefully to the listeners, that you're a person that can appreciate the game, and that you can actually get a lot of value even from defeats. I mean, for me, naturally, I think of the two slam wins against Team and Tsitsipas when I think the whole world noticed Thomas's achievements. But I think you're perhaps right about Thomas not getting to that level, not getting that belief unless he had those matches like the one in Australia with Grigor. And even another one I remember in qualifying, which I think gave him confidence, was the one against Marius Kopel, I think in Rotterdam, where he had to win a deciding set tiebreak against such an amazing serve like Marius's. And he went on to win that, and then he got to main draw, and he played a good match against Songa, even though he lost. And then, fast forward a little bit, and he goes to Eastbourne, and he has to go through qualifying, and he gets through all of that, and then he plays Gilles Simon, who had just made the final of Queens, and he beats him quite well. So I think all of that was quite incredible, and there was a confidence that started really from that match in Australia. And just going back to Eastbourne, I still remember very well the morning of the semi-final, and I think the draw for Wimbledon came out, and Thomas had Tsitsipas in the first round, a player that had beaten him in 12 months before in straight sets. So I was naturally a little bit worried seeing that draw. But I remember that when I spoke to you, you were optimistic, and you believed in the team, you believed in our work and the work that Thomas had done throughout the year, and you also believe that Thomas now had the confidence and belief to trouble Stefanos, and it showed. Like in that 5-set match, there were moments when Thomas could easily have lost confidence, and the match could have finished, but he was confident. He played the pressure moments very well. He stuck to game plans, and the rest is history. It was such a good win at Wimbledon. He followed it up with another win there, and some great wins the rest of the year. But it came back to the belief that he got earlier in the year. And I know we work closely with data on a few things and different parts, including, player preparation, opponent scouting. But I want to ask you, what made you as a coach want to use data?
The first thing, I am passionate about data, but be careful because they have to be interpreted. Otherwise, it only makes us confused and confuse the player. For me, the data were used to understand who I was facing as a player, in addition to the technical level developed with the various video analyst technologies. They had to make me understand where is most successful games and is games to be improved. I consider this work fundamental, and you, Shane, made the difference with your professional and also work in every single practice and in every single match day. Then I try to know those little details of the opponent to help the player to take advantage of it in the match.
Thank you. And I think the experience working alongside you was very important. And I think it was very important that the work I did went through you as a head coach as a filter before reaching the player. I've seen too many situations where an analyst in a number of sports goes directly to a player and they can confuse them. So this layer was very important, and I think it was very important for Thomas to actually improve his game. And I think of some of the analysis work we did where there was a lot of good work, and you encouraged me to keep doing a lot of that work, but you would pick out the one or two gems that could have a sudden impact or immediate impact for Thomas in a tournament, and you would give that to him. And then, some of the other things you saved for post-tournament for bigger blocks of time when you can work on certain things. But I really learned a lot about the game and about the way that I suppose a high performance coach communicates to his athlete, and I thank you for that experience. And I think together we did some great work and made some certainly data-driven improvements to his game. But I want to think not just sort of data improvements. What was the biggest change you made physically or tactically or mentally to Thomas's game while you were coaching him?
The thing that with Thomas we have changed more than ever was the schedule of the tournaments. Consequently, this changed his mentality of work from the technical part to the physical part and the mental part. Because playing only ATP tournaments for Tommy was also the turning point in terms of interpretation of the game. I tried to push himself on the player's ambition.
I think that's a great answer. I know you made a lot of great changes last year to Thomas, to his forehand, shot chains, physically, preparation, a lot of good things. But getting Thomas mentally believing in his level was such an important part in perhaps some of the success and the big wins he had later in the year in the slams. And I think the attitude that you instilled in him about playing only ATP meant he got exposure to that level, and he could get the experience playing at that level, but he also got the confidence that he could play well at that level. One of the other reasons I think for Thomas and other Italian players improving is because there's so many good caliber players coming out of Italy, and certainly in the last few years on the men's side, we've seen Seppi, Fognini, Berrettini, Sessionato. Now with young guns like Sinner and Lorenzo Musetti coming up, it's quite incredible to think about what's happening on the men's side in Italian tennis. And I just want to know what is the secret? Tell me.
Work of coaches with the support of the federation made a difference. We are the first nation in the world to have 20 top 200 players in ATP ranking, more than the USA. The knowledge of the coaches, the daily work of quality and order, and the sacrifice to travel 30 weeks, I think is the key. Italy has always been a nation of great tennis tradition, without forgetting the women, who have done even better than the men in the top 10 and the slams won.
That's a very good point. Italian women's tennis has been incredible for a long time, with slam winners like Panetta and Schiavone, but also some excellent players like Arani, Vinci, who have done, Italy great service on the international tennis stage. And just on the future of Italian tennis, you're heading one of the best academies in the country, Genoa, in Lubrano Tennis Academy. How are you keeping in contact with these students at this time? And what are the sorts of things that they're doing at the moment?
I'm very lucky because here in Genoa, a very strong youth project is being born. All the stuff now is focused on the students' growth. Now, every day, there are live online lessons with 2-3 max students from morning to evening on athletic training to dedicate, as always, to carrying out the planned work. They never stop because our trainer, Nico Villalba, was immediately activated to continue the work. As for tennis, we do webinars every day on technique, tactics, biomechanics, and mental, where with the help of video analysis, we can never get away from work. Like it very much, and there is great participation of students and parents. This situation is teaching us a lot of, we just have to adapt to change as always. I think that soon we will return to do what we love, play tennis.
Yes, it's going to be wonderful when we can all go outside again and play some tennis. But it's great to hear that your students still have a great program in this time, but being delivered online, and they get exposed to a range of areas. And I'm sure they're going to develop, and a lot of the things that they learn in this time are going to be useful for when they get back on court. And I think hopefully they have an appreciation more for the game and an understanding of the game when they do start to play again. I think your point on adapting is a very good note to end this interview, because I think the world will learn a lot from this period, and it'll make the way we communicate, the way we learn, very different going forward. And I think we're going to be better for it. Federico, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you again for your time and everything you've done for me. We're going to speak soon again, I'm sure.
Pleasure for me. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, listeners. See you again next week.